Hello and good morning from BBC1. Programmes for schools and colleges begin in 2 minutes with A Good Job with Prospects.
Michael Hardy is 18 and he's training to become a legal executive. A legal executive works as an assistant to a solicitor.
I work for a firm of solicitors with several partners who mostly deal in financial matters and tax law, as well as conveyancing and probate. The strong room is where we keep old deeds and papers, which are both very important and valuable.
Michael started off in the firm's general office. Here he comes into contact with every aspect of a solicitor's work, including conveyancing, which is the buying and selling of land or property, probate, which is dealing with the property of people who've died, accountancy, which is looking after people's money, and litigation, which involves preparing for trials in court.
Would you like to get on coming that plane for me?
The work I do in the general office is very varied, dealing with the mail, fetching things from the strong room, collecting and delivering briefs, documents for stamping, colouring in conveyancing plans. This is in fact a very important job. The plans accompany the deed of sale, which is the conveyance, and any time anybody wants any reference to the piece of land which we are selling, then they just look up the respective colour on the plan, and therefore we know exactly what part of the land we've sold.
Once a day, Michael goes to each of the solicitors in the firm to collect any papers they've got for delivery to other buildings.
Is there any stamping or council?
Yes, I've got three things for you today. A brief to counsel, and if you could try and find out what time it's likely to come before the court. And then I've got a letter asking for a change in time of a conference. If you can try and organise that with the chief clerk.
Yes, sorry.
And for the stamp office, I've got 3 transfers and a conveyance. I've put the amount of stamp duty in pencil on the corner. The total stamp duty is £7,000. I've warned the cashier. So could you get a cheque?
Yes,
And take great care of it. Thank you very much.
Hello, Henry. Money for stamp duty for £7,000.
Yeah, we've got the money, Mike. I'll just draw you a cheque for that one.
Michael will be taking this cheque for £7,000 to the stamp office of the Inland Revenue to pay for some deeds to be stamped. This proves that the tax has been paid and makes the documents legal. This part of Michael's job is not simply being a messenger. He is responsible for the check as well as highly confidential legal documents. He has to know what's in these documents because he could be asked questions about them. Today, Michael's going to a barrister's chambers in Lincoln's Inn. The barrister gives any legal advice the solicitor or his client might need. He can appear in court on behalf of a solicitor's client after he's been given details of the case by the solicitor.
The solicitor I work for often sends me to various barristers' chambers. Here I deliver documents and papers for the barrister to read and assess and advise on points of law.
Michael doesn't see the barrister himself, but speaks to one of his junior clerks. This clerk receives the documents Michael has brought and answers any questions he may have. Michael has been asked to find out when a particular case is expected to be heard in court.
It's a Part 2 case, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometime in November, probably the first week, but I can't give you a date yet.
And we would like to arrange a conference on that date.
Right.
There are some questions the junior clerk doesn't deal with, and on these occasions, Michael gets to meet the barrister's senior clerk.
Paul, Mike wants to fix a conference in this matter.
Hello, Michael. Yes, certainly. Do you want it quickly?
Yes.
I could do something about the end of next week. Would that be all right?
But unfortunately, our client will only be in this country a few days and then he's going abroad again.
Oh, I see. How about Tuesday at 4:30? I could do that.
Tuesday, 4:30. Yes, that'll be fine, yeah.
Are you going to send down papers in this case?
Yes, we will be, yeah.
Could you let me have them this week so that I can get him to read them before?
Yes, certainly.
Okay,
yeah.
thanks. Well, I'll book that in.
The reason why I chose a career in law was, firstly, security. It's also a very interesting subject and it's something what everybody's always going to need. I go to the Inland Revenue most days, and here the deeds have to be assessed and stamped for tax purposes.
This part of Michael's job may look routine and boring, but he does in fact know what these deeds he's carrying are all about. In the stamp office, the marker estimates how much stamp duty should be paid on each deed. If he has any questions, Michael should be able to answer them. Similarly, Michael can query any figure written in by the marker. If there are no problems, Michael will hand over the cheque for £7,000 and the deeds will be stamped to show that the tax has been paid. Then Michael takes the deeds back to his office, where the manager does a final check to see they've been properly stamped.
Any problems?
No, not whatsoever.
Good, that's fine. Would you know I'd like to start the post, Michael?
The firm Michael works for is a small one, so there's no separate post room. Michael has to deal with all the outgoing mail at the end of every day.
Letters for October the 18th. Trustees Department, the Bank of Scotland, the Estate Duty Office, W14. Once I have the letters, I record the names and addresses on the dictaphone, and these are entered up into a book the following morning. The reason why we do this is that everybody has a record of any outgoing mail from this department.
Every evening after work, Michael has to face a long journey home. It takes him an hour from St James's Park in Westminster, where he works, to his home in East London. Michael's expected to be in the office by 9:30, and so he has to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning. He chooses to put up with the journey so that he can work for a firm he likes, where he gets on well with his colleagues. There are solicitors' offices here in Leighton, but when Michael was looking for a job, it just happened that he found one a long way from home. Michael's firm expect him to look well-dressed at work, as he's often meeting clients. Today, though, he's starting work in a different office. He's going into the trusts and tax department of his firm. He's more interested in the tax and financial aspects of the law, so this is a good department for him to work in.
Oh, hello, Michael. Sit down. So you're coming to join us in this trust department?
Yes.
I do hope you'll be happy here. The work you'll find is very different from what you've been used to, but I hope you'll find...
At the moment, Michael's a student member of the Institute of Legal Executives. His firm give him time off to attend day release classes at a college of further education, where he's been studying for part 1 of the Institute's exams. He hasn't been able to sit the exam yet because of a qualification he needs in English O-level.
With the English O-level exam, unfortunately, I didn't get the grade what the Institute asked for. Therefore, I have to do the exam again, which then enables me to go on to do the associate exams, hopefully next May.
As keeping files is an important part of the department's work, I'll show you where we keep the files and registers to do with the companies.
In any job involved in legal matters, keeping accurate records is essential. Details of every transaction are put in the right file. Copies of letters, accounts, deeds, and all other documents must be kept where they can be quickly found again when needed.
Inwards and outwards, all the correspondence relating to the trusts.
It's important that Michael should become familiar with the filing system as quickly as possible, because he'll be getting out particular papers to work on and filing away new information practically every day.
Over here, in this cupboard, Michael, we keep the minute books of the companies, and down here the register of members and shareholders, directors and secretaries. And in the middle...
Michael found the legal terms confusing at first, but soon got used to them.
Here, Michael, I have a batch of tax vouchers. These show the tax deducted from dividends received, and I want you to add them up on the adding machine, this net figure here, and when you've completed it, it should equal the balance in this ledger here. Okay, you understand?
Fine.
Good, thank you.
Once you become a fully qualified legal executive, you can then go on and specialise in one of the aspects of the law, be it criminal law or conveyancing, revenue law, trust accounts, etc.
Mr. Smith, have you got the figure showing the amount of money in the bank account after that dividend was credited?
The important thing, I think, what satisfies me about this job is the variation.
Well, could you get Michael to ring the bank up and arrange that transfer then?
Yes, certainly, I'll see to that.
Now, the other thing I got is this company transfer to be sealed. I think Michael ought to come and see this being done, as I don't think he's had one before.
No. Yes, Michael? We're going to seal this deed. It has to be done before the director and secretary of the companies, pursuant to a resolution by the board of directors.
Now, Michael, I have to sign it as a director. And then Mr. Smith is empowered to sign as secretary.
The law has a tremendous amount of tradition still. It's a part of a very old but a very secure profession.
Operating a computer terminal is just one of the many jobs an accounting technician might do. Ginny is 18 and she works for a firm of practicing accountants. When she joined the firm, she knew nothing at all about computers.
We installed the computer terminal a few months ago, and once installed we had a very short lesson on how to use it, and from then on it was trial and error which taught us rather than anything else. On the payroll we soon discovered mistakes like negative pay slips and such unrequired items. But when it came to accounts, it was very interesting to suddenly have a trading and profit and loss account and a balance sheet coming out of the computer in a matter of minutes rather than days. I think in the future that accountants are going to be a lot more involved with computers, as they will take some of the monotony and routine work, such as adding up figures. But, of course, they won't provide the interpretation needed for accounts.
It's that interpretation of figures that Ginny's job is mostly about.
I think you have to be able to work round figures, to be able to manipulate them not fraudulently, of course, but be able to understand them and use them as an aid to decisions and not let them rule your life, but help you.
Being an accounting technician means working for a qualified accountant and carrying out most of the routine work on the accounts of his clients. Ginny works for a firm of accountants based in Gray's Inn in London. Like Lincoln's Inn, it's full of offices and flats occupied by people whose work is involved in legal matters. But although Ginny and Michael spend much of their time in this kind of legal environment, they could both equally well be doing their job in other areas. In fact, there are solicitors and accountants' offices in most towns in the country, and many of them at some time employ young legal executives or accounting technicians.
The firm I work for is a full partner firm with up to 20 clerks, that is article clerks, people who are studying for exams with view to becoming a qualified accountant. We're all very friendly with each other, and you do have to rely on this friendliness because you get taught by people who are senior to you and you teach people who are junior to you. I'd like you to do me a bank payment schedule.
How do I do that?
Using the headings there, can you head up that paper there? Put the figures across there and the months down there. Then cast it.
Yes.
Okay? I'm just going off to see the partner.
As well as helping and advising those junior to herself, Ginny's own work is supervised by seniors and managers in the firm, and she may even from time to time have to consult one of the partners of the firm who is a chartered accountant.
I've been doing these accounts on the computer, and those are the draft accounts.
Okay, thank you.
With any small problems you have while you're preparing the accounts, you usually ask a senior clerk for advice, but if it's a problem that involves the client, then you take the problem to the partner, who then either tells you what you should do or asks the client if it's necessary to consult him to solve it.
I think the best way of getting it is to go through his paying in book, compare that with his schedule of life business underwritten during the last period of the year, and work out an accrual from that. Do you think you'll be all right on that?
Fine, thank you. Most people seem to have the idea that accounting involves an awful lot of figures and adding up and advanced mathematics. Most accounting, contrary to most people's opinion, is not complicated mathematical problems, but more a case of simple arithmetic, which, with the aid of a calculator, can be fairly simple.
To get promotion, Ginny will have to pass certain exams. Her firm give her part-time day release so she can take courses for these exams at a local college of further education.
I was employed on the basis of studying for the Institute of Accounting Staff Examinations with view to eventually getting the certified qualification to become a qualified accountant. I now go to college to study for these examinations, and I've taken part 1 already and passed it, and I'm now studying part 2. The firm give me part-time day release in order to study for the part 2 examinations, which I will be taking next June.
Next one, direct materials, direct labour.
The course is very interesting. We have company law, which gets slightly involved, cost accountancy, which is fairly accurate, and we have a very nice lecturer for that.
If you had those figures, that would total up, Miss Brown?
Prime cost.
Prime cost.
All the practical experience I'm getting while I'm working helps a great deal in my exams, and it brings home all the theory, because you can relate it to the work you have been doing during the week.
Those two total up to?
Factory cost of production.
Factory cost of production. Factory cost of production.
Sometimes Ginny has to travel away from home. A major part of her firm's work is involved in auditing the accounts of many large companies. Auditing means checking the figures in company accounts to see that no mistakes have been made. It's the law that every company has to have its accounts audited. They have to employ a firm of accountants to do this work, and they must, by law, give their files to people from this firm. Ginny and her colleagues must be allowed access to all their accounts records, no matter how confidential. Including Ginny, there are 4 people from her firm who'll be working together on this audit. One of them is a senior, and he'll be in charge of the work they do. The others are accounting technicians like Ginny.
The first time I went out on audit when you were staying away, I was very impressed with the hotel. It's a very nice place. It makes it much more pleasant to stay somewhere nice when you're away from home, because it's not the same as working normally when you can go home and sort of kick off your shoes and relax when you've had a day of badgering people. There's a lovely desk to study at, which is quite important when you're going to college every week.
Ginny will be working here in Hampshire in the south of England for about 4 weeks, going home only at weekends. But even though she's away from London, her firm will still give her time off to go to college once a week and pay her fares to and from London.
Don't forget, get it right. Don't mess it up.
Out on audit, you do have to get on well with your senior in order to ask them what you're doing, because otherwise you'll just sit there looking at papers for hours not knowing what you're doing.
Okay. Can you go and see Mr.
Paul is the senior, and he allocates work to the others each day.
Any payments over £50 in the main cash book, scrutinise them and verify them, and especially look for VAT payments. Okay, we're looking for backing data and everything like that. If you've got any problems, don't forget to come back and see me.
Right.
Don't forget the magical voucher.
As it's quite important to get an overall picture of the company when you're auditing, you also tend to get involved with the product they're making. And the company that I'm auditing at the moment makes light fittings, which is quite a nice, bright, cheerful thing to audit. It's fairly interesting to find out about all the pieces that go into it, and all those figures that you're looking up in the purchase book actually apply to something that's being made on the factory floor at the moment. When you go out on audit, first impressions are very important, because you're going to be working with those people for a few weeks. You're going to be reviewing their work, and they might be very sensitive if you start criticising it. You go into a place to audit a company's books, and you're checking people's figures, and you're looking at the picture as a whole picture, whereas all their jobs are part of that whole picture. Some people get slightly on the defensive when you start asking for their books. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where would I find the VAT documentation?
You would have to obtain that from the chief accountant.
Thank you. Goodbye. So you do have to be very confident and sure of your authority when you ask them for any information that you require. Good morning, Mr. Fletcher.
Good morning, Jenny.
Could I have report 3 and the supporting VAT documentation?
The chief accountant must give Ginny any figures she needs. No information about the accounts of the company can be held back, otherwise she wouldn't be able to do her job properly. But she must treat everything she finds out in the strictest of confidence. The people who are in charge of the files must feel they can trust her. If Ginny betrayed their trust, her firm could lose this job altogether.
Hello, finish that.
Oh, well done. Let's have a look. What have we got here then? Do you have any problems?
No, not really.
No?
No.
Well, it all looks in order. Can you write a report on it, Ginny?
Okay.
No, stating exactly what you've done and the checks you did with it. Okay?
Okay, I'll do that now.
Good.
Ginny's job means carrying a lot of responsibility at an early age. She does quite a lot of figure work and analysis on her own, so it's up to her to work as accurately as she can. The job demands care and attention. The work can't be rushed, as every detail is important. It may often take a long time to check and analyse one list of figures, so it's not a job for anyone who is easily bored.
My eventual ambition is to become a certified accountant, but that will involve 3 sets of exams after the ones I'm taking next June. At the moment, I earn a relatively low wage for the work I'm doing, but once qualified, this should improve quite dramatically.
Right, we've got about an hour and a half. I've got some stuff.